Well, how in the heck did they do that? The Houston Texans looked like they were sunk. The season was headed to hell, and then they turned it all around against the Jacksonville Jaguars, completing the second biggest comeback in Texans history, the biggest one under DeMeco Ryans. Only the Monday Night Football one against the Chargers in 2013 was bigger, down 21 against the Chargers. They were down 19 to the Jacksonville Jaguars in this one, and ultimately they are able to pull off the comeback with a furious fourth quarter, and it was sealed by a Will Anderson sack and a Sheldon Rankins fumble recovery for a touchdown. The Texans moved to 4-5, and the train, which looked like it was headed off the rails a couple of different times in this one, the Texans are able to keep it on track with an incredible fourth quarter. It shouldn't have got to that point, but there's plenty to talk to throughout this one. We'll get to your comments, your questions, your joys, and your concerns. We'll do the 4 big takeaways. We'll go through each of the various position groups throughout this game and the big moments from this one as well. Appreciate everybody for riding along. Welcome to the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans, and let's talk about 36-29 as the Texans get it done. Let's start with big takeaway number 1. Davis Mills gets it done as the backup quarterback. Now, I don't know if C.J. Stroud would have done it the exact same way that Davis Mills did it, but you had Davis Mills in this one, and it looked friggin' awful early. And there were still some hiccups even late from Davis Mills, a couple of high throws, a drop snap here and there, but it was ugly at different points, but the quarterback stayed with it. The offense stayed with him, and Davis Mills, as a backup quarterback, is able to lead you on an incredible fourth quarter, a comeback punctuated by Davis Mills himself taking it on 3rd and long after a couple of penalties push the Texans back. Davis Mills scampers to the left and finds himself in the end zone to get the Texans ahead in that one. That is one of the best backup quarterback performances that you're going to see from any of the backup quarterbacks across the league this year. And I know there were some really shaky moments. That interception early, that sucked. He still misses some throws. He still throws some uncompetitive throws there. But when you needed Davis Mills to take care of his business and to steady, calm down, relax, Davis Mills did just that in the big moment. That's big takeaway number 1 for me. Big takeaway number 2, this defense, man, they were put in an unfavorable position early. They forced the Jacksonville Jaguars to kick a field goal on the Jaguars' first offensive drive, and they happened to do that twice because Danico Autry is a dum-dum and gets an unnecessary roughness penalty that gives the Jaguars an automatic first down, but the Texans still force the field goal. Now, they give up the touchdown on the second short field after the Tremont Smith fumble. Special teams was atrocious today for the Houston Texans, but the defense does their job early. They allow that touchdown on the short field. Then they do a pretty decent job of forcing the Jaguars to not get loose. They only score 3 more points on offense before a late third quarter drive. The defense just fell apart in the third quarter. They fell apart. They allowed a third and very long because Kalen Bullock did not tackle the tight end very well in that play. Henry To'o got targeted, and Azeez Al-Shire got targeted, and the Jaguars were moving the football. And that final Jaguars scoring drive was probably the worst drive of the day for the Houston Texans defense. And then they just snapped, and they turned into monsters. And they stopped Jacksonville dead in their tracks in the fourth quarter, forcing a couple of punts and giving that offense a chance, giving them that sliver of hope, and the offense took it and took care of their business. Look, there's things to clean up from this defense, but when they needed to go out there and just be monsters and get the ball back for the offense, to give the offense a chance, to give the offense an opportunity to take advantage of that little sliver of opportunity. The defense did just that. Danielle Hunter, a fantastic day, a huge day from him. 3.5 sacks. So he's in on 4 sacks, tons of pressure there from Danielle Hunter throughout the course of the day. He's even in there in the run game as well. One of his best games of his career, and certainly one of his best games in a Houston Texans uniform. So the defense, really good early, shaky in the middle, excellent there at the end. But there's definitely some things we want to talk about specifically from this defense. I thought the offense had some nice moments where they kind of settled down. Look, they was really shaky early on. They give up the ball on an interception early. Nothing really goes well for them there in that first half offensively until they get into the red zone. And then, like manna from heaven, a Woody Marks rush to the outside, not up the gut where this offensive line has struggled to move bodies, but to the outside. The rookie gets it into the end zone. He didn't touch the ball in that goal to go from the one situation last week. It was Nick Chubb, it was British Brooks, it was CJ Stroud on the quarterback sneak. It wasn't Woody Marks last week in the red zone, but that red zone touchdown early, it was like, okay, they've settled down a little bit. They got that touchdown. They add 3 points as well. A little disappointing that they didn't have a little bit more there at the end of the first half. Didn't really use their timeouts the way that I probably would have used them. But then in the third quarter, they have one drive that kind of just dies because Dalton Schultz drops a pass. Like, it wasn't a bad performance right there in the third quarter. And that drive that ended in a Jaden Higgins touchdown, it started in the third quarter. So I thought coming out of halftime, they made some adjustments. They leaned overall in the offensive categories. They leaned on Nico Collins and the rookies, and they were able to move the football. And they finally got going there in the fourth quarter with those 3 incredible touchdown drives. Nico Collins had one of the craziest catches ever on that 2-point conversion where he just rips it out of the air. That was awesome. Dalton Schultz into the end zone, Jaden Higgins into the end zone, Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, a fresh Nick Chubb because the offense was more Marks forward on the ground, which makes sense. You're losing by 17 points before this damn thing even starts, basically. And so, of course, it's Marks forward because he can catch the football better than Nick Chubb. But Marks forward rushing attack. And then Nick Chubb's, healthy as a horse and ready to go, and he's ramming dudes. Pause. He's taking care of his business there in the fourth quarter and really physical with the football, over 20 yards rushing there in the fourth quarter for Nick Chubb, and they ran the ball well there late. The offensive line, it sucked early. They shuffled some things around. They finally got a nice level with this offensive line. It really went really well for the offense. They kind of settled down, relaxed. Davis Mills didn't freak out. No mistakes kind of built up where it was like, oh, damn, like Davis Mills made a mistake, and then it kind of leads to more mistakes. Like, one of the big things with this offense that I've complained about over the course of the year is they don't do a good job of triage. When something goes wrong over here, it then turns into a chain reaction of suck. They did a good job with triage today where it didn't just snowball out of control for them on offense when they made a mistake here or there. And even on that last scoring drive where Mills rushed it in, 2 false start penalties where they were just disjointed. The offense wasn't operating fast. They weren't getting out of the huddle fast enough. They had to burn 2 timeouts to save delay of games. I probably wouldn't have burned those timeouts on the delay of games, but D'Amico Ryans ultimately used the timeouts there. But they settled down and got enough out of that offense. Big takeaway number 3 for me, that O settled down and gave them enough. And big takeaway number 4 is in-game resiliency. Look, this was a game where it very well could have been, F it, pack it up, let's go home. Because they're down 17-0 with 12 minutes left in the second quarter, and it doesn't look like they're having a very good day on offense. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to move the football. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to stop the Jaguars on a consistent basis. And Jacksonville's running the football a little bit, and there's so many things going right for Jacksonville early on. And that could have been one of those, screw it, pack my bags, I'm done, I'm finished, pack it in, this season's over. We're going to be 4 games behind the Jacksonville Jaguars, basically, because we're going to be losing the tiebreaker to them. This thing's done, screw it. They didn't. They stayed with it, got in there. Miracle that they're down just 10 at halftime. They don't have a particularly bad third quarter. They have some bad moments, but overall, They were okay in the third quarter. They get that drive started there at the end of the third quarter that really kind of takes them into that fourth quarter. And of course, they're excellent there in the fourth quarter. In-game resiliency has not been something that this Texans team has done and then been able to finish it off with a victory, and that's exactly what they were able to do in this one. They were able to be resilient in this game and still finish it off. And as we'll hear from Dalton Schultz a little bit later, emotionally, this one ended up being a much bigger one than you would have thought it would be for the Houston Texans. So that's my big takeaway number 4. Super chats will go to the front of the line. I'll get to as many comments and questions and joys and concerns as possible in the chat live. Of course, if you're after the fact watching, still get in the chat or the comment section. Happy to address comments after the video is over as well. I'm going to go ahead and tell you about my friends over at Sleeper. Sleeper is fantastic. They are awesome when it comes to daily fantasy. They're the best score app around. You can get your scores for college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, better at Sleeper than anywhere else. And of course, daily fantasy. Use my code Stoots, STOOTS. STOOTS is the code. You're going to get a free deposit, or you're going to get a deposit match up to $100. So put in 100, get 100, put in 50, get 50, and you get a free $20 entry. No deposit required. First time user, sign up for Sleeper, use the code Stoots. Terms and conditions do apply. Get a free $20 entry. No deposit needed. And we put an entry together each and every week for the game. Put one together this past Friday for this game. And we always have a blast with Sleeper. And again, it's the best scores app. So download Sleeper, sign up with my code Stoots, STOOTS, get that free $20 entry, get that deposit match up to $100. Appreciate Sleeper for being a sponsor of the channel. So comments, questions, joys, and concerns, super chats, jump to the front of the line. Members get priority in the chat. I'll get to as many as I can. We're still going to go through each and every element and piece of this team. We'll start with Davis Mills here in a second, but good to see Eric Bishop. He notes that Woody Marks came through. Doyle, appreciate you. That game was neck and neck. Well, neck man up, took care of it. Who is better at guard, City So or Cody Stoots? Thank you for the question, Brandon. We'll talk about the City So situation here in a minute. Will backing me up on that one. Appreciate you. Davis, good to see you. JB Allen, the Annihilator, appreciate you. Will only wants to see 2 more losses, a KC and an Indy loss. Hey, who says you have to lose any more football games? You don't have to lose. If you're a member, you get the custom emojis in the chat. You see those. Mike's a member. He's got a mango venom to get his evening going. The next show couldn't be stopped today. HDAV Traveler is in here. Chewy is in here. Touch of Trent. It was a thriller, and it looked like it was going to be awful there for a moment. Be honest. Be honest. How many people did you fire before the comeback started to happen and ultimately the comeback finished? How many people did you fire? How many pink slips did you write in this one? Doyle won by a neck. Yeah, it was a little bit closer than that. Killa, swarm the like button. Appreciate you. Jason, appreciate you being in here. Killa says, Cody, to be honest, turned the game off, started the 4th. Then Sleeper started sending me notifications, and I bet you turned that sucker back on. It was a fun one there in the 4th. Patrick says, was at the game and left at the second quarter when Mills got sacked. The team turned it around after that. So Patrick is the one to thank for the turnaround. Okay. Touch of Trent. If we get to 5-5 next week, the Bills look mid, 6-5 maybe. Hey, worry about 5-5, and then we can talk about 6-5 after that. Patrick is staying away from NRG from here on out. Maybe they just needed Patrick to not go to the game or to leave the game to get things going. Hey, Landry has Sleeper too. He puts them together, and he won a couple $100 on a Sleeper today. So follow him, follow me, and we'll put together some entries. We'll have some fun. Touch of Trent. We'll talk about Trent Brown. Trent, we certainly will. Doyle says, my buddy called and woke me up. Otherwise, I would have slept through the whole game. Well, if you were only up for the 4th quarter, you were up for one hell of a 4th quarter. Good to see you in here, Frank Z. Doyle says, happy Cody's much better than angry Cody. There's a time for all of it. There's a time for all of it. Maybe keep Juice at right guard. We'll talk about that. MJ Stewart done for the season. Yeah, when you get carted off with a cast on your leg, not great. Nathan, Cody, tell me why some fans are mad that we won just because it was Mills that secured the dub instead of CJ. Win is a win, and this particular win saved the season. Yeah, look, I don't care if you're happy that it's Mills or you're mad that it's Mills. They won, and the season would have been a travesty, and they would have been off the rails if they hadn't won this football game. So you needed this win far more than you needed, than you could have afforded a loss. And it doesn't matter how they got it done. I don't give a damn if they'd run the triple option to get a win. They had to win this football game. They had to win the football game. Sean jumps to the front with a super chat. Can we please give props to our deep snapper? Yeah, Brinkman did a good job. He did get juked like a he got juked bad on the punt return. We'll talk about the special teams, how bad they were, how atrocious they were in this game. Davis Mills, the AFC South, hates to see him coming. All right, so we got an announcement on MJ Stewart, torn quad. That's out. Brown looks good for someone who hadn't played in so long. Over 14 months since Trent Brown played a game, and he looked very good. We'll talk about the offensive line here in just a minute. Albert, Money Mills in the clutch. You love to see it, certainly. Certainly. Good to see you in here, Juan. Appreciate you. Tomas is checking in from Fresno, California. Great win for the Texans. Yeah, absolutely. Juan says, Cody, you look like Chris Farley, RIP little brother. I have dressed up for Farley for Halloween before. The recognition is not missed on me. It's not missed on me. Cody, what is CJ's excuse? Money Mills did what he did without two O-line starters. Yeah, the O-line played really well today. They had some really nice moments running the football. They protected well. There weren't a lot of excuses that could be made. We'll see what it looks like when CJ gets back in there. Wonder how the snowball effect comes from the quarterback. Seemed like the guys played a little harder and didn't give up. Well, I guess we'll find out. Could CJ Stroud have authored that comeback? Yeah, certainly. I believe that he could have. Will CJ Stroud look good if the offensive line protects as well as it did today? Yeah, I believe he will. Is CJ Stroud for sure back this week? No, he's probably not. He's probably not. Who else was super excited to see Dameon Pierce returning kicks? Yeah, gosh, how about that? How about that? That was awful. Maybe we can see some Trent Brown goal line action, and Patrick's advocating for Trent Brown and a Titus tush push. It's a lot of beef. It's a lot of man if you're doing that. It's a lot of man if you're doing that. So a couple of different things I want to get to. It feels like this is a obviously enormous win for this Houston Texans team. A loss put them 4 games behind, essentially, the Jaguars. I guess 3 in the standings, but you lose the tiebreakers, would essentially be 4. 3 wins, 6 losses if you lose this one, and necessary that you basically win out to do it. Not a lot of hope left there, but they're able to get it done. They get contributions from, damn near everybody in this one. We'll go through some various pieces of this one. Also want to take you inside the locker room with some post-game commentary from a couple of players. We'll start with Dalton Schultz. Listen to what he says about the mood, the mentality of this team, how much this one mattered for them coming out of the locker room. Here is the Texans veteran tight end who, boy, did he have some redemption that he needed to make up for after that big drop, and certainly he was able to bring it. Here's Schultz.
Had a great week of prep. Put it on display, man. He comes in, we know we have a good, great backup quarterback. There's a reason that he's stuck around here for a while, and he showed that today.
Can you take us through that touchdown catch that you had, that tap dance when you had the back of the end zone?
Yeah, dude, I got pushed by the end, so I hit the end coming out, so I was already behind it. I was able to just fight through on that corner route. Davis saw it the same way I did and just put it up there on one-on-one. Was able to just go make a play.
Is that something you practice throughout the week?
The route?
The catch. Like that.
No, not really. You just go make the play.
Winning the game like this is something that can propel you guys to go on a run.
For sure. Dude, we needed this type of energy here after the game. It's been a long time since we felt the juice in a win like that. So I think, being able to come out on that side of a one-score game was huge for us.
Well, what does it take just to stay engaged and stay believing to pull something like this off?
Dude, it just takes focus, and it takes a lot of perseverance. It takes a lot of resilience. People think that I feel like people think we're crazy for thinking that we're, the outfit that we are, but like we really believe in it. And I feel like when it got down to nut cutting time in the fourth quarter, we go on an 18-play drive, and a lot of it was just running the ball, simple run plays down their throat. Like that's what it's about. That's what we built our team around.
Did you notice any difference in Nick Caley and his play calling today and the success that you guys were able to have?
No, dude, the execution was just better, and it was hard because, dude, we shot ourselves in the foot again so much early. Like I don't know how many plays we had in the first half, but it wasn't much. And so, like, when we were able to finally get down and feel like we were able to sustain drives and just to keep pressing forward, especially in the fourth, like, it's huge for us.
Well, then at what point did you feel like it kind of turned and you feel like, hey, we really can pull this off?
I mean, dude, you never lose that belief. But you talk about momentum in games, and I feel like when we were able to get that first score and get that first 2-point conversion and cut it to a 2-possession game, like, that's when, at least on the sideline, that's when I felt, a little bit more energy, a little bit more juice. Guys started to be like, all right, dude, like, listen, this is very doable for us. 12 minutes left, like, 2-possession game. And so I feel like, when you're able to kind of have that spark, have that little play, that one moment, and then capitalize on it, because that's the next thing. You got to be able to execute after that. That's when things like this happen.
You talked about all the good juice you had, and but also, like, it was tough to start. How did you get over to find that juice and, like, have some success?
Dude, we talk about it all the time, dude. Like, it's the one-play spark, and it's the willingness to, like Daniil said at the end, like, just keep chopping wood. Like, keep doing what you're supposed to do. Keep doing things the right way. Keep straining. Keep focusing on just the fundamentals. Like, it sounds so ridiculous. I mean, I hate hearing it sometimes too, but, like, really, that's what it's about. Like, it's the fundamentals of the game. You're able to execute the fundamentals better than anybody else in the fourth quarter when it matters the most. And we're able to do that too.
Hey, well, there we are. All right. Dalton Schultz postgame after the win, the comeback there for the Houston Texans. And he said it there in those comments. It's been a long time since I've had this kind of juice after a win. You think about some of their wins, like, okay, you're supposed to beat the Tennessee Titans. You took care of them. You're supposed to beat that Baltimore Ravens team that's all beat up, that beat up San Francisco 49ers team. You're supposed to beat them. And yeah, you're not supposed to be down 17-0, be down 19 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars at any point, but you were, and to come back and get that victory, to stay with it, to play to the level that they did, is a really good job by this team. And it certainly has to give them some sort of good feeling that, hey, not only are we not out of games, but we have this ability in us when this goes right and this goes right. We don't make this mistake and we don't make that mistake and we don't do this. Like, if you stay within what you can do and don't try to do too much, you put it together like that. And they've got to be able to carry that momentum through these next few weeks. And just like we talked about with Tennessee and Baltimore and then San Francisco, none of those games matter unless you take care of what you need to and you're supposed to take care of in the next few games. And yeah, this game will be just a fun little Sunday if you go out there and you lose to Tennessee next week, or it'll be just a fun little Sunday if you beat Tennessee and you get your head kicked in by the Buffalo Bills on Thursday Night Football in, however many days that is, 14 days, 13, 12 days from now, 11 days from now, whatever it is. So this game matters only if you build on it and you have some success coming out of it. A couple of super chats. Then we'll go through some of the things stood out from each of the various position groups. DeRhino, does feel good to win a game that any other time you feel like, damn, here we go again. Well, they had some damn, here we go again to start the early part. And I'm sure everybody's cuss words were flying and fire this guy and fire that guy and get rid of this one and change that one and so on and so forth. That was all flying, and certainly I was making my notes about, well, this offensive line built by Nick Caserio and these play calls called by Nick Caley, and if you did move on from D'Amico, what would it? Look, everybody had those thoughts there in this one. DeRhino, appreciate you for the super chat. Mac Dad, make sure you order the fattest, greasiest food for Landry. Brown held it down and got more than 35% of the snaps. Maybe this O-line is up moving forward. Yeah, this O-line was an intriguing one in this one. They did some really goofy stuff at the beginning with how they approached things. They used a practice squad promotion and started that guy, City So. and he was so bad that he got benched early on in the game. Juice Scruggs came in and took care of business there. So, yeah, the offensive line and Trent Brown, man, whew, he had a good one, man. He had a really good one, really good performance. We'll hear from Trent Brown a little bit later. Chris, did the Texans execute LMFAO? Yeah, well, people wanted to execute them through the first half, the first 15 minutes plus of this game, but then they started to turn the corner slowly but surely, had a bad third quarter on defense, and then ultimately got it going there on offense there at the end of the third and just kind of kept going from that moment. Wags, here for this team and here for you, brother. Appreciate you, Wags. Appreciate you for checking in. Thank you for the super chat. ESG Soccer says, fraud, Nick Caserio hugging Emik, which is D'Amico with no D and no O, too hard after the game. So D'Amico Ryans gave Davis Mills a game ball. He gave Daniel Hunter a game ball. And then Nick Caserio gave D'Amico Ryans a game ball. D'Amico Ryans, one of his best friends, who is a former Texans football player as well. One of his best friends passed away recently. I don't know exactly when it happened. One of his best friends passed away, and he had to deal with all that on his mind and still went out there and he had his team take care of business and coached them up and took care of what they needed to take care of. So there's that. I thought that was a really cool moment. That's in the post-game locker room video. That's on the Texans YouTube channel. I'm sure it's on their Twitter as well, so you can check that out. Patrick's got his membership comment. Victory was nice, but how are we getting so many delay of games and having to call timeouts in our own stadium? I do feel like the operation of the game was a little slow for Davis Mills a couple of times. He took one delay of game deep in their own territory. They were very close to getting them a couple of different times. They had to use timeouts twice. I feel like that was a Davis Mills thing and just maybe a backups thing. You had a couple of different backups in there and a Davis Mills thing. So I think that's just ironically, they praised Davis Mills for his operation and how he gets out of the huddle and things like that. But they did have far too many close to delay of games or delay of games in this one. So that was certainly an intriguing one to pay attention to. I wonder if D'Amico Ryans will have an answer for that tomorrow. Let's go through some of the big pieces of this one. Is the Davis Mills game. I mean, he started out horrible. I mean, that interception was bad. He had the drop snap at one point. It was just, there were just some awful, awful moments from Davis Mills in this one. And then there were some really impressive moments. There were some throws that he made that not many backup quarterbacks in the league can make. There were some throws that he made that CJ Stroud can make, and there were some throws that he made that consistently Stroud doesn't make. Like, there's going to be moments where some guy hits a throw and another guy doesn't hit the throw. And Mills in that fourth quarter was fantastic. Operation and pocket maneuverability, willing to stand and deliver a couple of different times. Still threw some uncatchable footballs, still threw some stuff high at different points. And maybe there was a moment or two where we got a little jittery there in the pocket, but ultimately Davis Mills with a really impressive one. What do you do at quarterback? Well, as soon as CJ Stroud is healthy and cleared, you start CJ Stroud. But if you're CJ Stroud, you don't need to rush back. I know Stroud probably wants to get out there as much as anybody, but you don't need to rush back. You don't need to risk anything, especially with it coming off a concussion. You don't want to re-aggravate that real quick coming back. So if you have to start Davis Mills against the Tennessee Titans, you should feel pretty good about your chances in that matchup. Mills had enough nice moments in this one that you look around and you say, yeah, okay, I get why this guy's the backup. I get why they invested in him. And I'm confident that I can start him against the Tennessee Titans if you're the Houston Texans. There was enough out of this game from Davis Mills that I felt like you could say, hey, I'm fine with that. He's the backup quarterback for a reason. We like him for a reason. Really good performance from him. And there were definitely some moments he's going to want back. I would think some of that goes away if he has to play on a more consistent basis, if the concussion issue lingers with CJ Stroud. But for me, as soon as CJ Stroud is healthy, you put CJ Stroud back in there. It's more important to find out what you have with C.J. Stroud than to continue to start Davis Mills. And I definitely feel like if the offensive line protects like it did for most of this game for C.J. Stroud, you're going to get a good performance out of C.J. Stroud going forward if they can replicate some of the good stuff from this one. I thought overall some of the offensive approach, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, was really good from this. This running back room was led by Woody, and I don't know if this was led by Woody out of necessity because they were down 17 points in the first 18 minutes, 20 minutes of this game, or I don't know if they just decided to only go with Woody Marks, but Woody Marks, a couple of catches in this one. He outsnapped Nick Chubb nearly 3-1. Out-carried Nick Chubb nearly 3-1. Chubb had 5 carries. Woody Marks had 14 carries in this one, 63 yards, so over 4.5 per touch. And it kept Nick Chubb fresh because Chubb was barreling through people there at the end. 5 for 47 for Nick Chubb, most of them coming in the final quarter of this one. This is how the running back room should operate. It should only be Nick Chubb and Woody Marks until you get somebody that you're confident in that you can put out there on a consistent basis. But that's not Dare Ogunbowale and that's not Dameon Pierce, and nobody else is coming to save you. So it should only be Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, and it should be as much Woody Marks as he can handle with Nick Chubb sprinkled in. And there were some moments there at the end, and Dalton Schultz talked about it. We played his comments here. They were running some simple run plays, and they were just beating up the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Trent Brown, you'll hear from him in a moment. He said he felt like they leaned on the Jaguars and really made it difficult for them in this matchup and really tired them out there by the end. So a running back room led by Woody Marks. That's how you go about utilizing this wide receiver room. This is how you go about utilizing these pass catchers. Targets in this game: 15 targets for Nico Collins, 11 targets for Dalton Schultz, 7 targets for Jaden Higgins, 4 targets for Jalen Knoll, 3 targets for Christian Kirk. Kirk had 1 catch for 3 yards. Knoll, 4 for 35 with a long of 27. Jaden Higgins, 5 for 42 with a touchdown catch and a long of 12. Nico Collins, he had that 54-yard catch at the end of the half that just was kind of a stat pattern, but even if you take that one out, he still had close to 90 yards in this one. But feed the beast that is Nico Collins, that 2-point conversion catch where he sort of one-handed it. That was incredible. This is how you operate this wide receiver room. You trust the young guys. You throw it a crap ton to Nico Collins. You throw it a crap ton to Dalton Schultz. They get open. They are guys that you can trust. And then you sprinkle in and mix in the rookies as much as you can. I still even would have liked to see more of them, but it's hard to be critical when after they really weren't utilized last week, they end up with, between the two of them, the 2 Iowa State rooks, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll, they end up with 9 receptions for 77 yards. You know who was not utilized much at all in this game? Xavier Hutchinson. They trusted the young guys in this one. So they did not force things with guys that previously hadn't been dynamic or impressive. Put the young guys out there and trust them. That's how you utilize this offensive pass-catching staff. 26 targets to Schultz and Collins and 18 targets to everybody else. You jack up the rookies just a little bit more, and I'll be happy. But hard to be bitching and whining and moaning about that one when the 2 rookies that were underutilized last week combined for 9 and 77 on 11 targets, and they get in the end zone for a touchdown. It's a good job there by Nick Caley to utilize those. Dalton Schultz had the makeup moment. Again, no throwing to Harrison Bryant. Dalton Schultz had that awful, terrible drop on 3rd down and 5. He has to come down with that. He didn't. He made up for it there in the 4th quarter. Earlier in that drive, before the drop, he just got shedded like it was nobody's business from some backup linebacker who played his ass off for the Jaguars. Wingard, that guy was a freaking animal. So Dalton had that makeup touchdown late. He did a good job there down the stretch. So good job from Dalton Schultz. And we'll get to the offensive line, the defense here in just a moment. We'll get to some of your comments, your questions, your joys, and your concerns. ESG Soccer. Not cool unless D'Amico Ryans brings it up. It's just Caserio trying to make it seem like they're a package. Get that fraud out. Also, special teams, WTF, Knoll bench, ? And they did not use Jalen Knoll on special teams as much as I would have liked them to. You had early on Damian Pierce, Tremont Smith. Then it was Jalen Knoll and Braxton Berrios a little bit more. Then it was a little bit less Jalen Knoll on special teams. But yeah, I think you are going down the wrong path on this one, ESG. So I appreciate the super chat. Sean Elvis, how do fans like giving up on the Texans, then coming back to win? Look, if you gave up on them when it was 17-0, if you gave up on them when they were down 19-0, or 19-0, down 19 points, like, I'd get it. What had they shown you to make you believe that they were capable of what they ultimately accomplished in this one? I certainly understand it. I heard from people that left at halftime, and I went and met some folks at halftime, and we're hanging out with them, and like, oh, we're staying. They got a chance. They just got to get some of that short passing in going, get things going, yada, yada, yada. Maybe they can come back. I don't know. They anticipated coming back from down 19 for the second biggest comeback in franchise history, but there was still some hope in the stands. The people that stuck around, well, they got quite the show there. Back in black 5088, hats off to whomever decided to play our rookies more. Yeah. Imagine that, right? The three rookies, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Knoll, and Woody Marks. Between the three of them in the receiving game, 11 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown on 14 targets. And then Woody Marks added another 14 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, the running backs the rookies were good. Imagine that. Play them. Who had more snaps, Woody or a Chubb? I mean, Woody had a lot more snaps in this one, had more carries, threw the ball to him a few times as well. So, yeah, Woody was much better in this one. Appreciate you, X. Alonzo Almaraz. Alonzo Almaraz. Stoots is the king of the turf. I appreciate you. Thank you for the kind words. I am not the king of the turf. There's going to be some kings of the turf tomorrow on SNL. We'll have you at 2 o'clock tomorrow for Reaction Monday. 2 o'clock tomorrow for Reaction Monday. While you're talking about my friends at Texans Turf, hey, why not talk about them a little bit? Texans Turf, TexansTurf.com. If you want turf in your backyard, you want a play area, you want a putting green, you want turf at your business, you want turf at a rental property that maybe you own so you don't have to worry about it. Always green, always clean. The drainage system is fantastic as well. So no standing water hanging around. Dan, the man who owns and runs Texans Turf, he can take care of you. Book that free estimate at TexansTurf.com. And of course, tell them that Cody Stoots and Landry Locker sent them your way. It was almost Patriots-Falcons kind of scoreboardish. It's a good one. Wags asked a good question. Who would I give game balls out to? I'll do that at the end. Riverbend. Woody was a tone setter. Yeah. 5 yards of carry, damn near. Yeah. He was popping some nice runs for sure. Let's talk about this offensive line. My goodness, what a weird offensive line day it was for the Houston Texans. So they warm up with Ariante Ursery at left tackle, Jarrett Patterson at left guard, Jake Andrews at center, Sidy Sow at right guard, and Trent Brown at right tackle. Now, three of those names are not names that are typically there. You would have thought that maybe Laken Tomlinson and Juice Scruggs would have been the guards, and Blake Fisher would have been the right tackle. That's not what the Texans ultimately decided to do. They started the game with Patterson at left guard, Sidy Sow at right guard, and Trent Brown at right tackle. My assumption is they went with Brown, one, because the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach believe in him because they played with him in New England. And two, they have Blake Fisher now to do the tackle-eligible tight end and go out there and run jumbo with Fisher. I don't assume that Trent Brown could run jumbo, and they probably don't feel like Jarrett Kingston, who is another tackle that's on the roster, is ready for it, or they didn't get him ready for it, or whatever. So Brown instead of Fisher, I sort of understand it allows them to use jumbo, and it felt like they almost need to have that jumbo package at their disposal with the way they operate right now. Patterson at left guard, my question would simply be what took so freaking long? Okay. What took so long to get Jaret Patterson in there at left guard, get him into the question or get him into the operation? They felt good enough about Patterson a year ago to throw him in there when Kenyon Green stunk to high heaven. But why it took 10 weeks to get Jaret Patterson a crack at left guard, I don't know. I thought he held up pretty decently there. I know he had the false start late. That's not great, but he played better than Laken Tomlinson has at any point this year. So Patterson at left guard, I like that. The City So thing was one of the dumbest things they've done all year long. This guy is a journeyman. I know he started 13 games for the Patriots in 2023. So he's got that Patriots rub that they love. But starting him was awful, and it didn't take long for them to realize, hey, you tried it, stop, and put Juice Scruggs back in there, and that's exactly what they did. It seems to me that maybe the Patriots fellas thought that City So thing was going to work, and ultimately, when it wasn't working early on, they got his ass on the bench ASAP, and they threw Juice Scruggs in there, and it settled down okay. And then ultimately, Trent Brown played his ass off. This guy hadn't played football in 14 months. This guy's coming back from a torn patellar tendon. At his size and his weight, I have to imagine it was so grueling to try to get back on that field. And Trent Brown went out there, and I felt like he actually had one of the best right tackle performances all season long. I know he had the kind of the weird cut block that wasn't a cut block where he just whiffed on Trevon Walker. That wasn't good. That was a really bad play. Thankfully, Trevon Walker crushed Davis Mills to the point where the officials threw a flag and that sack didn't count. Yes, that was a really bad play by Trent Brown, but he had some really nice moments. He was moving bodies. He was protecting Davis Mills. I'd like to see more of Trent Brown. What do you do when Titus comes back? What do you do when Ed Ingram comes back? How do you move around and adjust and change this offensive line? Well, if they're going to go best five, Trent Brown played one of the best tackle games that they've had played all year long. So I would just stick Brown right there at right tackle, and I'd figure out something else to do with Titus Howard. Maybe that's left guard. Maybe that's a backup. But I'd play Trent Brown until he couldn't play anymore. He's a big fella. He's coming back from an injury. I'm sure he's banged up after this one. It's his first football action in 14 months, but I'd continue to play Trent Brown at right tackle. I'd figure out whatever works best at left guard. Either maybe it's keeping Jaret Patterson there, or maybe they want to put Titus Howard back there at left guard, and then I'd put Ed Ingram back into the lineup when he's healthy there at right guard. I get City so freaking far away from this thing that I'd make your head spin. I'd get him so far away from this organization, and I'd have somebody else on the practice squad in a heartbeat to take his spot. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I thought Andrews had some nice moments at center, and Ariante Ursary played really well in this one. For a matchup that saw him rematch with a guy that got him in week 3 of this season, Ursary had a really nice moment pass blocking, and then he was out there just crushing fools in the run game. He was out there on the edge a couple of times, blasting through some defensive players for the Jaguars. Really good game from Ariante Ursary, really good one. So I talked about Trent Brown. He hasn't played football in 14 months. They give him the start, they give him the nod, and Trent Brown goes out there and makes it happen for them. Let's hear from the big fella here and what he had to say post-game about this Houston Texans victory.
How's that one feel, man? You've been a part of some big games, but as far as being here, how's that one feel to get that one done?
With that being my first one, man, I was excited I know I made it hard on us, just give it the offsides at the end right there, but it was good to see us dig down and still make it happen for us.
What's it mean to you after how last season went, all the work you had to do to get back out here to get this opportunity?
It means everything. It's been a year and 2 months since I've been able to step on that field on a Sunday. And it was just I was glad to see that the work that I put in didn't go in vain. You know what I mean? I came and showed up big time for us in a win that we really needed. And I was just glad that the team played well. I think we played complimentary football today.
Tough first half. What's kind of conversation there as that first half ends, kind of lingers in the third quarter? What's kind of conversation to turn the corner?
Just competitive stamina. Keep chipping away. Keep chopping wood. I mean, the game's never over to the last whistle, you know what I mean? So anything can happen. Just got to put our head down and go to work.
What did you think of the performance that Davis had today and what he was able to do for you guys?
He stepped up big. He stepped up huge in a huge way. Super proud of him. I kind of I lost my way right there on that last set, the one he scored, but I was crazy because I told him, I was like, man, I hope he doesn't just move, Davis. Don't sit back there. Sacrifice, go win, sacrifice your body. So he did that. It's like telekinesis, I guess.
What can you say about what you guys are able to do as the offensive line? I know there's been some struggles with the team. Got a lot of guys in and out. You're getting your first crack at it in over a year. Were you kind of proud of this performance on the offensive line? How you guys finished?
I think it's just attention to detail and the will to finish. Coach challenged us this week to finish in the red zone. I think we did a better job. We got to cut down on some of the penalties, but I think we did a way better job of finishing drives and coming away with 6 instead of 3.
We were just talking to Jake over there, and I said, what changed for you guys in particular from the first half to the second half when you guys seemingly were able to kind of wear down that Jag defense? And he just said we weren't stepping on our toes. Was there anything else that you guys felt at the line of scrimmage that you were able to take advantage of when you got going?
I know I was noticing, even with it being my first game back, they were tired and I wasn't. And so that kind of just gives you a little energy. And I was trying to talk to the group and motivate them and tell them, like, hey, lock in, let's go. Like, we can do this. You know what I mean? And so we showed up big. It's still a lot of room for improvement as a whole group, but we got a big win today.
That's Trent Brown post-game, what he was able to bring to the table. I mean, look, even somebody like me who I was interested to see what he could bring to the table. I don't know that I ever expected Trent Brown to go out there and play as well as he did. Even somebody like myself, and sometimes I'm like, oh, surely they're not going to go out there and they're going to start this veteran who's coming off of a major injury, hadn't played football in 14 months. Surely they're not going to go and start him over a former second-round pick. And ultimately they do, and they go about that, and he pays off for him, and he has a really good game, and he has a really good performance, and you could tell how much it meant to him to have this one and to have played as well as he did, and to get back on the field. So it's a really good job there by Trent Brown. We'll talk about the defense, a couple of things we want to talk about there, the good and the bad, the special teams, all the bad from them, and plenty to get to as well. So Super Chats go to the front of the line. We'll get to as many comments, questions, joys, and concerns as we can. Alonzo says, sorry, I'm the industry plant. Love Texans turf. Appreciate you, Alonzo. And he says, hey, TDECU gets a game ball as well. Hey, I appreciate you for setting me up for that, Alonzo. With the alley-oop, my friends at TDECU, well, they can take care of you. Get you 15% off of the online team store, because when you want to go get you a 4X Trent Brown jersey, when you want to go get you a Davis Mills jersey, when you want to go get you a new hat, a new shirt, 15% off of the online team store, and use that Texans debit card from TDECU. They'll let you know how to get it going with all the information. TDECU.org/Texans. Membership's required, and they're insured by the NCUA, but you can learn everything you need to know about that Texans debit card. And whew, man, what a fun one to finish up and get a win there. And maybe you want to get some new gear with that TDECU Texans debit card. When you put your money with TDECU, they can do things that other people can't. They're a credit union. It's your credit union. It's not just a slogan. They mean it. And check them out and tell them Cody Stoots and Landry Locker sent you. SNL sent you to TDECU. So appreciate the alley-oop on that one. Alonzo Wags, opinion on Ursery this time around the Jaguars, much better, and was out there mauling people in the run game. So great job. Great job by him. So fantastic. Alonzo says, we owe this win to Platinum AC and Heating's Dwayne. Yeah. Throw a shout out to Dwayne at Platinum AC and Heating when you need any of your air conditioning needs. It's about to be cold. You're worried about that furnace. You're worried about that heater. You're worried about the AC flipping over to heat. Give Platinum AC and Heating and my guy Dwayne a call. So appreciate you, Alonzo. Alonzo doing the sponsors work. Doing the sponsors work. It's a good job. That's a good job. AFC South show says this O-line should be Ursery, Titus, Andrews, Ingram, and Brown. Maybe. Jumbo package with Trent Brown instead of Fisher. I don't think Trent Brown can do what Fisher needs to do in those spots. So I guess Trent Brown can do the right tackle stuff better than he can do the jumbo stuff. That's why he's getting the nod instead of Fisher. Yeah, I mean, you can do some Howard guard stuff and shift some things around, certainly. John wants to know if there's over under 20 Mills jerseys sold after today. I think some people might pick up a Davis Mills jersey or two. And one of their better performances, a little leaky and shaky early, but they settled down. They settled down. Trent Brown is large. He is a huge human. If he's less than 400 pounds, I'd be shocked. He's every bit of the 6'8" that he's listed as. And he's taller sitting down than some of the players are standing up. So he was a monster. And he was a very nice guy. Yeah. He's a very nice guy. Good to see you, Noah. Appreciate you jumping in. Took a fumble on the kickoff to finally put Jalen Noel in. Yeah. Yeah, there was it took too much to finally get Jalen Noel in there, but they finally got him in there. Finally got him in there. Off to watch a Steelers game. Have a great night, Cody. Yeah, we'll get you to Sunday Night Football here in just a moment. A few more things I want to get to. Few more things that I want to get to in this one. Danielle Hunter, I mean, been milk carton man for a few weeks, has not been showing up, hadn't been taking care of his business. Hammers the Jacksonville Jaguars. 3.5 sacks, tons of pressure, was in the run game. Great job by Danielle Hunter. Will Anderson gets the sack there at the end with Danielle Hunter, forces the fumble. Sheldon Rankins scores. Togiai had some nice moments. Rankins had some nice moments outside of that one. The defensive line was really the engine of that defense today. They had a really, really nice one. The linebackers, rough game for them. They got picked on. They let that quarterback get loose a couple times. Trevor Lawrence running the football got loose. Henry To'o was in there. Lawrence is leaking out with a big run. It's like, oh God, here comes Tampa. Here comes freaking Denver all over again. To'o got a couple of pass interference calls. He's getting picked on in coverage. Aziz got turned around in coverage at one point on that long drive, and then they just can't lose Trevor Lawrence on. They can't lose Trevor Lawrence on that big scramble there at the end that almost set Jacksonville up. That was almost a freaking disaster. You can't lose him there. Linebackers have got to dial it in. They've got to be better at the linebacker spot. They had some decent moments, but they're getting picked on, and Petrie's going to help a little bit because he can cover better than those guys, but coaches are seeking them out, and coaches are going to try to find them, and coaches are going to try to pick on them like Liam Cohen did today. So they've got to be better, the linebacker spot. My God, Henry's got to stop getting the pass interference penalties. He's got to quit that, and they've got to quit letting running backs or quarterbacks take off for big games. Secondary had some shaky moments. Kalen Bullock cannot miss that tackle on 3rd and super long. Cannot miss that tackle on 3rd and super long. I'll say it again, cannot miss that freaking tackle on 3rd and super long. It's a tight end. I get it. You got to wrap him up. You got to slow him down. You got to stop him. Can't have that. Derek Stingley battling through this one, had one of the coolest interceptions I think I've ever seen. That was incredible by him. But Parker Washington got him once or twice in this one. Look, I just have such high expectations for Stingley that even when somebody does have success in what is a very tough spot, for a cornerback. I get surprised every time. Kamari Lassiter getting the penalty. Can't look at the guy. These refs they're ready to throw the laundry on the field. You can't look at the guy when you're having a moment of celebration. So 15-yard penalty on that. They're thin at safety, man. They are very thin at safety with MJ Stewart's injury. Miles Bryant got brought up from the practice squad. They put him on the field instead of Jalen Reed in this one initially when MJ Stewart got hurt. They're thin at safety. They probably need some veterans to come work out. They might add a practice squad guy, and they might move somebody up from the practice squad to the active roster with MJ Stewart out with that injury. So they're thin in the secondary. They need Petrie back for some of that inside coverage, and they got to get Jalen Reed ready as fast as they can because they may need him there in the secondary. So a couple of mishaps from the secondary. Nick Haley had some nice moments. I thought the ability to work outside in the red zone with Woody Marks in the first half touchdown was a good job. The red zone was not this awful monster that screwed them so much like it did early on or like it did so many times earlier this season. So I thought Haley had some really nice moments, drawing some things up, and And ultimately, it's up to Davis Mills to go out there and just execute and make it happen. And Mills was really good a couple of different times. So, but good job by Nick Caley, just calling those basic run plays over and over and bullying the Jaguars late. And when you finish out a comeback with a 14-play, 93-yard drive that eclipses almost 6 minutes, that's a damn good job by everybody on the offense, including that offensive coordinator that I'm sure every one of us thought about or did fire in the first half. Special teams, atrocious today. A punt return for a kickoff or a punt return for a touchdown, that cannot happen. A kickoff where you fumble the football, that cannot happen. You've got to put better players on the football field for kickoffs. You've got to put Braxton Berrios and Jalen Noel back there on kickoffs, and you've got to take care of the football on special teams. You cannot fumble the football on special teams if you're Tremont Smith. When you get the football, you cannot allow a punt return touchdown. That should have sunk them. That was 17-0. That should have crushed them. It did not, because they were able to hang around. The Jaguars stink, obviously. The Jaguars have a hand in this comeback as well. Them being bad helps you get back. But the special teams has got to be much better. They came in tied for the best special teams in the league in EPA, which measures how effective each play is in adding to or taking, its efficiency stat. They came in tied. They were awful today. That can never happen again. That performance from the special teams can never happen again. I cannot stress that enough. It can never happen again. Okay? That was an unacceptable performance from the special teams. That can never happen again. All right. Go to the super chats. We did some game balls. Wags wants game balls, so we'll do game balls. Into some of your comments, your questions, your joys, and your concerns as well. Alonzo says, Jags need some Spanky's Pizza to cheer them up. Yeah, they should have grabbed some of those on the way out of Houston. I appreciate you, Alonzo. Thank you so much for the super chats. We'll be at Spanky's Friday. We're there at 3. The live broadcast starts at 4. So don't miss out on Spanky's. This Friday, we'll get you ready for Tennessee. We'll also look at Buffalo as well as they're coming to town. Then we'll be there the following Friday as well. So Spanky's Pizza on Bel Air this Friday. We'll be there at 3, starting at 4 for the live show and hanging out with you. Appreciate you for these super chats, Alonzo. A couple more comments. We'll do game balls and wrap this thing up here. Stingley, all right. It was in and out, and ultimately ended up finishing playing this. So I think he's going to be okay. Yeah, 14 plays, 93 yards, and Trent Brown gobbled up 3 guys in one of those plays. He's playing on earth. He's a big fella, man. He's a big fella, and even somebody who was bullish on seeing him get in there, I couldn't have imagined that Trent Brown was going to play this well. Christian Watson says, let's make sure we hit that like button for our man Cody. Appreciate you. It's a little thumbs up below the video. Cody, should we rest Sting against Tennessee? Nope. Got to win. I was going to fly down for some Spankies, but IA just a hellscape right now. Fly to Hobby. It may be harder to do that than I say. So, Wags wants to know, who would you give out game balls to? I would give a game ball to Davis Mills. I would give a game ball to Trent Brown. I would give a game ball to Danielle Hunter. I would give a game ball to Nico Collins. Those would be my 4 game balls. Trent Brown, Davis Mills, Nico Collins, and Danielle Hunter would be my game balls if I had to give out game balls in this one. Stover should be on the horizon. We'll see. Stover should be on the horizon. That Stingley INT was a thing of beauty. I mean, just one of the best interceptions I've ever seen. Incredible job by him. Number 4 is becoming the better CB. Kamari's incredible right now. He's playing at a very high level. A very high level. Alonzo, thanks for checking in from Chicago, my friend. There's a couple of Texans fans up there. I think I know a few up there. Mike wants to drive down and hang out. Spanky's the week of the Arizona game. TBD, I think. It's TBD. I'm not quite sure. It's a little far ahead. That's in December, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, taking off on that running TD. You don't get it. It's 4th down and got to have it. I mean, pretty weird spot to be in, but he got in there. It was a good job by him. So, all right, that'll do it for the postgame. We'll have a lot more on this postgame. We'll have some of D'Amico Ryan's comments from tomorrow for you on SNL, myself and Landry Locker. Reaction Monday, 2 p.m. tomorrow. 2 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, for checking in on the live show here. I know sometimes we don't go live after the game. Sometimes it's recorded, but it timed out right so that I could go live on this one. Wanted to talk about this one in person, so appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you all so much for the super chats and the likes and the comments and the shares and just watching. We're having a blast here. And it's a lot more fun to cover this team after a win than it is after a loss. And what a win that was. This is the way we end all the live streams. This is my hope for you. This is my charge for you as well. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. And I want you to be good. And we'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Happy Sunday evening to you, and have a great Monday. And we'll talk to you at 2 p.m. on SNL. Myself and Landry Locker, 2 p.m. tomorrow for Reaction. Hip-hoppity, dip-doppity-doo.